how that kind of controls some of our flight or fight.
Yeah, I was afraid of
fight or
that.
flight. So what that looks like in today's world and kind of how everything that's happening is we are impacted in one way or the other by that. We respond in that way.
Yeah, I think so. I think because of the uncertainty and obviously COVID stuff we've talked about over and over and over, but we're going to continue to talk about it because it's part of our lives. There's a lot of people that I think have become fearful in different ways that probably that wasn't as big a part of their life before, just because anytime we encounter something we've never encountered before, and that's what we're doing. And I think usually other things happen, and when people can say, well, it's going to last so long, it's over, that kind of stuff. There's still so much unknown. And I think a lot of us don't do real well with the unknown. We kind of like to have things just kind of lined out a little bit, so at least we can have some idea where things are going or what's going to happen the next day we get up, and we don't do now. And that was school going back, and I know parents that are sending their kids to school or deciding, am I doing the right thing by schooling them at home right now? Should they be around other kids? And so just a lot of things people are dealing with, and I think all of those things can probably lead to a fear, the what ifs.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, but I keep having conversations with people that are dealing with a real sense of fear, like you just said. And talking about back to school, that's a new level. I mean, there are single moms, single dads, single parents that are working two jobs, both parents are working households, that they're like, what are we doing with our kids?
Exactly.
Now that their schedule is different and school's different. So real fear. And I think how we respond so much to fear, obviously you have a fight or you have a flight mode, but there's 3 points that we want to make today when it comes to fear. And the first one is we need to face our fears. And so if you're in this flight mode and you're running from everything that's happening, the pandemic, you're trying to hide from it, at some point in time, you're going to have to turn around and face what's happening and face it head on, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I don't know why we think we can just escape them, because that doesn't seem to happen. We can't just put our head in the sand. And I've had people that I've worked with in the past that are coming in, they're so fearful in counseling about their finances and everything. And I'll say, well, do you know exactly where you are? And they said, no, I've got this stack of envelopes on my desk with bills, and I haven't opened them because I'm afraid to open them. And so the flight away from those didn't make those go away. At some point, they were going to have to do it. And what I've seen, and it's counseling people in my own life, when you face your fear, it's not ever as bad as you think it is.
Yep.
I think we have a way of magnifying it in our mind and making it worse. And just like anything in our mind, when we're not talking about it, we're just letting it go in our mind, it just builds and builds and builds. And sometimes taking action, verbalizing, talking about, facing it makes a lot of difference. And for some reason, we're afraid to face the fears.
We are, but we have to, and you have to face the reality. You can't hide from it, and that means even going back into places of worship, places where you can connect again. There's got to be, because what that fear does and running away from it causes so many more problems long term than it does necessarily. You have to face your fears, and I think right now what we're facing as a nation, many men in the world that I'm talking to today, many men or friends are out. We have to learn to face it, and you're going to have to engage it as well.
I agree.
Number two. When it comes to fighting, I know there's a lot of people that are fighting different things and aspects of this whole pandemic and everything that's happening in the world today. And that's great, because the Bible says that he did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline. Right. So there's talking about the power part of that. There is a point in time where you do want to face it and you do want to fight it, but you don't want to become somebody that allows the bitterness and anger to happen inside of you when you're fighting what's going on, because then it turns you against everybody else and you start alienating other people, and it becomes this troubling aspect of who you are when you start fighting it in a very aggressive, angry way.
No, I totally. And I think what happens a lot of times, anger, unfortunately, is usually the place most of us feel safest as far as an emotion, because we feel a little more in control in that. And so when we face our fears, we got to be able to look at other emotions that might be more helpful than anger. Maybe we do have to face, something that we don't want to or whatever. And so our tendency is we get angry about it. Then that anger spills out over everybody around us, and nothing gets solved in that way. And it certainly doesn't handle, it's not a healthy way to handle the fear, because it's not making it go away. No. You're not facing it. You're just spewing on everybody.
And learning to fight with power with God and anger is is essential. And I've seen it from both sides right now. There's a lot of angry people, a lot of frustration, and it's starting to lend itself to not love or wisdom, but it's becoming something that's going to be very violent and aggressive, which is not the way that we're supposed to approach this situation.
No, I agree.
That leads us to the third one, which is, like the Bible says, wisdom, power, and self-discipline. And those have got to be the way that we're running. We're not running from things. We're not sheep. We're getting understanding. So we're being wise in how we're approaching everything. And we're understanding the whole situation. We're not just accepting things because that's what somebody says. But how do you find out the facts and the truth? And then how do you gain grace and love for other people that they disagree?
Yeah.
Not acting like, okay, you're idiot. But hey, let me understand your point of it. We can disagree, but we can still do it civilly in a way and still have the opportunity to figure out a happy medium, some place to meet in the middle if it's possible.
I think because things are so contentious in our culture today, we're so divided. If we could step out of that and just step into, I started I've quit listening to a ton of news. I just kind of know what's going on, and that's about it, because it's dividing and divisive, I think. And so like for COVID stuff, I've started listening to a podcast that's it's called TWID, I think, but it's all professional scientists. Well, I'm getting information that I didn't hear anywhere else. I get information from scientists, so it gives me more wisdom in making decisions and dealing with stuff. And it's because I think with a lot of times we hear stuff in the media, it riles us up. I mean, it gets our attention. That's what they're supposed to do, but it causes fear that we don't know what to do with it. Well, here's to a scientific thing. Well, this is what we think would be helpful. This is not helpful. If you're doing this, you're probably wasting your time. If you do this, help. And you can kind of weed that out. So you've got the wisdom, and then you can move forward. And then I think once we get ourselves in that, we get rid of the fears, I think it's easier to get the grace and love. Because, that's what brings healing. That's what, and so if somebody has a different opinion than me, and I'm pretty confident in what God's told me and taught me and led me to learn, then it's easy to show grace. I may not agree with somebody, but I can appreciate them and talk to them and love them. And there's a lot better chance when I do that they will hear me and hear the information that I've learned and share with, if I'm screaming at them. But,
Agree.
People don't listen to that.
No, and we have to be open. I know it's easy for me to start taking my opinion, looking at everybody and saying, oh, this person has no idea what they're talking about. I'm not listening to them. They're an idiot. Or whatever I want to say, but that doesn't necessarily help the situation and doesn't help what's happening inside of me. Either it causes a lot of stuff that happens inside of me that I start realizing, man, I'm a lot of control, and I need to take that back. Some of that's fear and that frustration. So good words, Dr. Kim. Always great talking to you. Everybody can check out our podcast. It comes out the second Thursday of every month. The new one just came out yesterday. And so
what's it about?
Better Man Podcast.
What's that topic of that one?
Ego.
Yes, I knew it. I just wanted to see if you did.
I know you figured it out. That was ego this time. So.
It took me a while. It's a really good podcast. Not that we just did it, but I think it's a topic for guys that we need to talk about, and we don't. And so I hope you guys enjoy it.
I know you and I don't ever struggle with that whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But anyway, check it out. Like we say every week, don't be an okay man.
Be a better man. See you guys next week.